have hiccups. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. I have hiccups, so you guys can enjoy that. Jeez. I want to apologize for taking so long to get back to this. You have to understand that I'm the kind of YouTuber that does whatever the heck I want. And if people like it, then it makes me super happy. And so thank you for writing a comment about Higurashi, because it's been on my list to finish for a while, but you have to understand that the last two chapters with the Takano backstory were absolutely brutal for me. This series, whenever you start a new episode, it's hard to think, episode, I call them episodes, like each one is a different episode and they have like 10 or 12 chapters in them. Whenever you start a new episode, the beginning is always very slow and sometimes very repetitive. So I always have a hard time with the beginning, but this one was painfully hard especially because we're getting into the finale, right? We're getting into like being able to like save the day and Chpt like remembering things and like from different timelines and there's like all this stuff. And so you go into this chapter and it's like you want to get to Rika, and then the first two chapters is like all this political bullshit which if that is entertaining to you, then that's awesome. And that is one of the reasons that I never skip a chapter. I will never skip anything, even if I find it boring. Because one, I am the most stubborn person on the planet, and if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something to completion. I'm not going to skip and make it confusing for people who are watching it. If you guys want to skip the chapter, feel free to, because it was boring as frick. It was like her getting finances for researching the disease and whatever, and it was just boring. Oh my god. So that kind of made me not want to read it, even though, like, when you trying to think of a good, it's like the opposite of Game of Thrones. Like, it ends really bad, but you love the beginning. It's like the opposite. Like, you want to watch the beginning, but you don't want to watch the end because it sucked so bad. Not that I'm saying that it sucks. This has been such a detailed story, and I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but I'm trying to explain my reasoning. This has been such a detailed story with everything explained that I'm not surprised. But one, I hate Takano. I do not give a flying fudge nickels about Takano. And I am the kind of person who loves a villain backstory that is like, that wrenches your heart. For example, Higurashi from My Hero Academia and pretty much all of the League of Villains have such a traumatizing backstory, and like, I am hoping that Deku can save Tenko, the little kid who's like been trapped in there and manipulated. But when it comes to I don't give a flying fudge nickels if she was butchered as a child and an orphan and whatever. I do not care, because that, I have so many swear words coming into my head when it comes to that woman. That woman literally murdered thousands, and I mean, okay, Higurashi also murdered, but it's different because Higurashi is in like a villain hero, like Marvel kind of thing. So for some reason in my brain it's different. Whereas this is not real because they're supernatural, but it's like, oh god, she's just so evil, and no one manipulated her. Like no one like, she's pure evil, and she was like laughing. And let's remind you that in the last chapter, she literally opened Rika up while she was still alive and took out her intestines. Let us remind you of that. And hence why I hate Takao, and hence why I do not care about her backstory at all. I just want to get back to Keiichi and Rika and the gang. Like, bring it back to me and give me Aksa. Because I love him and he needs to be a part of this. And he was only in one chapter, but he's one of my favorite characters, the detective guy. Anyways, so that's why it's taken me a while to get back to this. And I do apologize for that. However, I think we are almost done. Hold on. With her backstory. Oh, jeez Louise, I'm murdering myself. Oh, there's also one other thing that made me hesitant to finish this series. And please, please, please tell me what you guys think below in the comments. I absolutely love to hear other people's opinions, and I love to like talk about the things that we love and this kind of thing. But after learning that the curse was scientific, although it honestly, in my opinion, makes more sense if it's non-scientific, and you're putting it in a world where there's supernatural occurrences happening, so there's no reason for it not to be there's no reason that it doesn't have to be supernatural. I think that just made it way too complicated. Like, it doesn't make any sense in my mind, and I don't like it. I don't like their weird trying to science it when it actually makes more sense if it's not. So that kind of, to me, it's like all this. I am the biggest mystery lover ever. I did mystery theater, which I'm hoping to start in Japan. So if any of you live in Japan, definitely hit me up. I love mystery games. I'm phenomenal at figuring out who the murderer is in novels and books. And if you guys watch my episode that I did before I started the question arc, or the answer arcs, I got almost every single answer right, baby, as to what was going on. But I just think that it would be more entertaining if it was a curse, like an actual, like, supernatural thing, rather than whatever the weirdness is that doesn't make any sense no matter how many times they explain it. Like, that's just my personal opinion. But let me know what you guys think. Anyways, enough of me rambling. I also do this fully voice acted, so it does take quite a bit. All right, let's see if I can remember my voices. I remember Rika-chan. Very easy. And Hanyu. Hanyu's like this. Who's Miyoko? How long have I been crying? I don't even know how long I've been comforted like this. Oh, this is. Oh. My grandfather's hand is on my cheek to comfort me. I'm holding his hand lovingly and pressing my cheek against it. Are you okay? Grandpa. Grandfather put his other hand on my. The warmth of his palms gradually calmed me down. Is there music or not music? Piles of documents were all around me. It was a mistake to sort through data while lying on a fluffy carpet. I must have fallen asleep and had a terrible dream. If you sleep facing down, the pressure on your chest makes it easier to have nightmares. Is that true? Is that true? It's getting quite late. Why don't you go to sleep, Miyoko? I'm fine. I took a nap, so I'm not sleepy anymore. I'm almost done. So I'm going to finish up, okay? You have school tomorrow. You should go to sleep, otherwise you'll get scolded for yawning again. I've been going to bed late recently. Is there music right now? Because of that, I yawn a lot at school. My teacher must have written a note to my grandfather. I'm fine. I'll go to sleep as soon as I'm done. So please let me finish, okay? Besides, you shouldn't mind me. Go back to your study and continue with your article. The day for him... Oh, okay. To present his findings is approaching. He's been working so hard, devoting himself to his research, but there's unfortunately a limit to what an individual can do. He needs a collaborator in order to go further with his research. He has to explain that his investigation could be the key to solving the mysteries of human behavior and make people understand just how important his work is. But this research is about a very complicated subject. So he couldn't seek assistance from just anyone. Someone will be able to help him one day. Believing that my grandfather earnestly continued his research. I want to help him more. But all I can do is sort through his data and tidy up his materials. I also assist him around the house so he can concentrate more on his research. He always tells me how helpful I am, but that isn't enough for me. I'll study hard, get into a good college, and learn many things, so I can actually be assistance to his research. I think we can auto. I'm a mediocre student right now, and I don't particularly like school, but I will do it. I want to help my grandfather. If his heart were to fail and he couldn't continue his research... Oh my god, see, she's already fucked up. I'm sorry. Sorry, I hate her. I wouldn't hesitate to cut open my chest and offer my heart up for him. If he needs lungs, I'll give him my lungs. If any of his organs fails, I'll give him mine. There's nothing strange about those feelings. No, there's definitely not. They're perfectly normal ones. Or if he had found me even a day later, I might not have been alive. Or even if I had lived, it would either be without my body intact, or with my mind lost to me. In other words, I'm alive because my grandfather came to save me. If he hadn't rushed to find me, I wouldn't be here. So I won't hesitate to give up my life for him. Moreover, I'd be more than happy to do that. Even though I want to be with him forever, human lives aren't immortal. Just like how my parents died. Then so suddenly, without any warning. I'll never heal from my parents' deaths. But now that I have my grandfather, I'm not sad. However, his existence isn't eternal either. He may disappear all of a sudden for any unexpected reason, just like my parents. That's why I wish to be part of him. That way, no matter what happens, we'll be together forever. I don't want to be alone ever again. I want to be with my grandfather forever. I want to help him forever.
Okay. Then be sure to get sleep after you finish this, okay? Promise?
Yep, I promise. I think that's Ifumi's her grandfather's name. Sorry. We pinky promised after that. We smiled at each other and my grandfather went back to his study. Hold on a second. I'm gonna load this because... Okay, there's the sound. Maybe there was just no sound in that section. Okay, there is sound. See, I thought maybe there just wasn't sound in that section, but my computer was just not picking it up. Okay. The music helps with the emotion. We smiled. Oh no, now it's too loud. What? The dried up tears are making my cheeks itch. I headed to the bathroom to wash my face and brush my teeth. I looked at my face in the mirror. None of my grandfather's features are recognizable. Of course they aren't. We're not related. He must have family too, but I've never heard about them. He doesn't seem to want to talk about that subject, so I don't ever ask him about it. I don't care if he has real grandchildren or not. Even if I'm not related to him, I'm a granddaughter of Hifumi Takano. I'm not just a granddaughter either. I want to be more than that. I don't want a parent and child... Oh my god, I thought she was gonna say I love her. I thought she was, I swear with how fucked up she is. Oh, I swore that she was gonna say that. No, a lover's relationship, nothing like that. I want something more certain that binds our souls, something that not even a tragedy can destroy. I am Miyoko Takano. I called her Takao earlier. Why did I call her? My brain, whatever. Hifumi Takano's granddaughter. Maybe it should be Mio instead. That's why I was confused. That's what my grandfather sometimes calls me. I want to succeed Hifumi's spirit. Since his name counts from 1 to 3. Huh? I'm trying to think of Japanese. Hifumi. With no I. 3. I want us to share that 3 and be the 4th in his line. Huh? Today my name changes. I wrote that new name in the mirror. Mio Takano. I'm like writing it in Japanese. I'm like, how is that a 3? Yo. I mean, Mitsu. Whatever, okay, whatever. What a wonderful name for the new me. Screw you, baby devil. You know what? I don't even care. If you guys enjoy me yelling at baby devil, I'm glad. If you hate me yelling at baby devil, if I made you laugh, I'm happy. Colonel, sir! Good to see you again. Takano-kun. Come on, no more Colonel stuff. No. I was worried when I heard you were ill. You sure look great now. My grandfather always told me he doesn't have friends. He used to tell me everyone died in the war, but that's not true. He has one very close friend. This is him. He's an elderly man my grandfather calls Colonel Koizumi. I don't know exactly where they met, but every time they get together, all they talk about is the military and the war. So I guess that's where they met.
Look at you, Mio-chan. How tall are you now?
We just had a physical checkup the other day, and I think I've grown 2 centimeters.
That's wonderful. Good girl. Make sure you eat well, play a lot, and grow big and healthy. I envy you, Takano-kun, for having such a cute granddaughter.
Mr. Koizumi knows that my grandfather and I aren't related, but he always calls me his granddaughter. That makes me very happy, so I poured a little more black tea in his cup.
Black tea. Ugh.
Green tea! Or no tea. I don't like black tea. After I finished serving tea, I left with a bow. I want to stay and listen to them talk, but I guess my grandfather doesn't want to hear me to hear stories of the war, so he always makes me leave. I left before I was told to. But having to leave doesn't mean I need to go to a different room. I just headed to the other side of this huge living room instead. Although I'm not right by them, I can still sit on a sofa and listen to their conversation. You know, I'm curious as to why we're staring at a light. Just like, why are we staring at a light and not like even just like the books? Although I'm... And if they need something, I can come help them right away. I try to earn points, that way I prove I'm useful. I sat on a sofa away from them and started reading encyclopedia. Boring. Every chance I get to dig at Takano, I do. I'm sorry. You know what? It's gonna happen the rest of this time, so just deal. While doing that, I tried to listen to their conversation.
That's great. The professor said they want to come over Sunday, the week after next. Really? Thank you very much, Koizumi-san. Don't mention it. This just means the report you wrote was that interesting, Takano-kun. They're showing a lot of interest. They've even said it's possible this research could receive the Nobel Prize.
A Nobel Prize?
That sounds wonderful.
My grandfather laughed. Since he laughed so cheerfully, something great must have happened. Mr. Koizumi must have shown the society the essay my grandfather was about to announce and gauged their reactions. And supposedly, they found it extremely interesting. That means they recognize the value of my grandfather's research. That makes me happy too.
But what worries me is that you'll get infected with the syndrome yourself. Make sure you don't end up clawing out your own throat, okay? Well, maybe I'm already infected. But Hinamizawa syndrome is harmless if you live a normal life. It was a dangerous disease back when the villagers believed in Oyashiro-sama and bound themselves with strict rules.
See, that is why the science doesn't make fucking sense. I'm swearing again, I'm sorry. There's... Warning! Swear words! It's like the equivalent of like believing in something makes a physical disease. And there is truth to that. Well, at least the opposite, where like when people are given like a placebo, it makes them feel better, even though like there was actually nothing in. So I guess that but just make it supernatural. It makes much more sense. But those have faded over time, and now people rarely show symptoms unless something major happens. After that many cases, a patient's emotional state has a lot to do with how the syndrome develops. As long as you live a normal life, there's nothing to worry about. It's basically a mental disease also, which also pisses me off because, like, I have a mental disorder, as many of you on my channel should know or will know, because I'm not ashamed of it and I'm proud of myself. And, like, I mean, that makes sense. I guess, in a way. You know what? Actually, comparing it to a mental disorder might make me feel a little better, actually, about it being a disease and not supernatural. So when one is under a lot of pressure, like during the war, the disease gets worse. That's right. Well, there's nothing to worry about. The subjective symptom of the initial stages is a paranoia akin to that in depression. Interesting that they actually compared it to a mental illness after I said that. Once you notice it happening, you can teach yourself to relax emotionally and physically by using my breathing method. And you should also get at least 9 hours of sleep a night over a 1-week period. So it is a mental disease. I use breathing techniques all the time for my anxiety and panic attacks. That's how you prevent it from worsening. In fact, of all the Hinamizawa's soldiers under my direction, not even one died mysteriously. As he talks, Grandfather started demonstrating the Takano breathing method and a bizarre exercise technique. According to him, this technique relaxes the body and lets blood and lymphatic fluid flow smoothly. As a result, you relax emotionally too. We're gonna have a little sidebar here. One of my favorite breathing exercises it's called mindfulness awareness, is listening to the sounds around you. Sometimes it's really hard to meditate. I eventually gave up on trying to officially meditate because my body just couldn't do it. And actually sometimes I would get into such a deep meditation that I would have random panic attacks from getting in the zone. So one of my favorite breathing exercises is to just close your eyes, breathe, and try to name sounds around you in your head. So I hear the cicadas outside ticking. I hear the music in my head, and it actually is a really great way to calm yourself down. So try that. You can also do that with smells. I like sounds because it's just the easiest for me to pick up on. You can also do touch. You can do any of the senses, probably not taste. That'd kind of be weird to do if you're on the train or in the middle of the street. Okay, anyways. But the movements involved in the technique are so weird I had to look away because my grandfather looked so silly. That was one thing about his research that I felt bad about. Oh. Grandfather asked me to do this exercise too. I don't want to make him sad, so I do it when instructed. I'm glad to hear that. Hideo Noguchi died in the middle of his research. So please be careful, okay? However, Noguchi-sensei's great work is still acknowledged even after his death. As a researcher, I'm sure that was his long-term goal. Grandfather tells me about Hideo Noguchi often. He was born as the son of a poor farmer, but he studied hard and became a doctor. However, he was mistreated because of his background, so he left Japan. He moved to the United States. There he made many accomplishments as a researcher. He discovered a vaccine for yellow fever. Grandfather's background is somewhat similar to his. So he often said that of all the researchers, he admired him the most. Hideo Noguchi died in North Africa. While he discovered a vaccine for yellow fever, he heard it wasn't effective on yellow fever in North Africa. He went there to research it, came down with the disease, and died. A researcher losing his life for his research. Sometimes that is a test of a researcher's courage. In that sense, Grandfather is very brave to visit Hinamizawa himself to gather information. Wait, does her grandfather die from the disease? Karma, bitch! It can't be karma yet because she technically hasn't done anything yet. Future karma, bitch! Swearing! He himself says he may already be infected. Although my grandfather estimates from ancient texts that the Hinamizawa syndrome was only a menace centuries ago, and now is no different from the usual bacteria that share a symbiosis with humans, many people became ill with the disease during the war, but that was because they were in an extremely abnormal situation. In today's peaceful environment, it's almost impossible for a person to develop symptoms. He sounds very optimistic, but he never brought me with him to Hinamizawa, so maybe he isn't as optimistic as all that. However, since I live with him, there is a possibility that I'm already infected as well. See? Ugh! That's the other part that doesn't make sense. How are people that, like, move away from Hinamizawa not affecting other people? But it seems like it's only limited to Hinamizawa, so it... We're gonna stop. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. Otherwise, I'm going to pause every 10 seconds to complain about it. But I'm not worried at all. That's because my grandfather has taught me that as long as I maintain myself physically and emotionally, I won't develop any symptoms. I know all about the horrible terminal symptoms of Hinamizawa syndrome, but I'm not overly fearful of them. Grandfather is enjoying his conversation with Mr. Koizumi. That's understandable. Mr. Koizumi told him some people showed great interest in his report. They even want to come over on Sunday. With the rapid advance of modern medicine, unexplored frontiers are steadily dwindling. Was it possible the Hinamizawa syndrome my grandfather discovered might be a new continent in the field? It'll be decided in 2 weeks. It sounds like there will be more than one person coming. And it also sounds like they're all important people in this society. They're all rich and famous, yet they aren't satisfied with just that. They all want to be involved with something that's worth an international award. This is a chance to gain assistance and sponsorship at the same time. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Please don't show. They're gonna show the 2-week thing. Oh, God. I'll make sure to be here. Good luck. Thank you very much. I owe you everything. It's too early to say that. Let's wait until you find some sponsors. When the time comes, let's have a toast with that treasured wine of yours. That was the last of their conversation. My grandfather kept his head bowed until Mr. Koizumi was gone. It sounded like he set up this chance, a great chance for my father. So I bowed my head just like him. Did you hear that? Finally, there's a chance for me. There are people who are interested in my report. I know, I heard. Now you'll have to have people to fund you and people to help with your research. Well, that's not set in stone yet. Although he didn't want to admit it, he had a good feeling about it. The research he had conducted all alone was finally about to gain recognition. Sunday, the week after next? Quite. I'll be busy. Their first impression depends on my presentation. I have to rearrange my data. No, I probably should practice explaining things in front of people. Anyways, I have to make sure I don't forget anything. Boy, it'll be a lot of work to rearrange your data. Your handwriting is so bad, so maybe you should write bigger. Anyway, I'll be busy. The next 2 weeks will go by fast. You're right. I'll help you. All the formalin jars have to be dusted. Also, we'll need to straighten our rolled up documents. Do you think leaving them laid out under the rug overnight would fix it? We have plenty of things to do. Mio, could you help me? Of course. I'll skip school for it. No, you can't miss school. We laugh together, thrust our fists in the air, and motivate ourselves to work hard towards the week after the next. Since that day, my grandfather spent more time in his study. It's not easy to create a report that you're going to show other people. Copying machines hadn't been invented back then, so everything had to be handwritten. He knows it somewhere, but he just can't remember where he put the data he needs. As for me, I have to make sure I have enough guest cups to serve tea, so I'm counting them. Do I have enough tea leaves? Maybe I should get something to go with tea. My grandfather knows nothing about these things. There's a whole list of chores to do. I need to clean the windows so the room will be bright. What else? The 2 weeks passed quickly while we were busying ourselves. What a wonderful 2 weeks it is. I can finally feel that I'm actually doing something to help my grandfather with his research. Ooh, I feel like he gets turned down because, like, otherwise her future self wouldn't. I hope the day of the meeting will be a memorable one. I hope the day will be beautiful and clear. No! Make it rain! Just as I wished! The day is beautiful! Evening. My grandfather, having dressed formally, paced around his study nervously. I sure hope they're not holding it here with all the books all over the place. This is very unprofessional looking. This looks like, what the frick is that evil alchemist's name in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood that turns his daughter into a chimera? It looks like his lab. I'm also in a beautiful dress. I've only worn it once before at my piano recital. But I'm not nervous like my grandfather. His silly nervousness actually relaxes me. Are they here yet? Grandfather looked out the window. Then a black car stopped in front of the gate. Back then, a car was a luxury item. I don't think I had even one classmate whose family owned a car. I don't actually know how old Takano is, but doesn't this take place during the 80s? So would it be like the 60s if she's like 20? '60s, '70s. So it only makes sense that or is it the 90s? I can't remember when this story takes place. I feel like it's the 80s or 90s. It would only make sense that the men coming out of the car look respectable. You come in and shoot him in the head. Man, I hate Takano. What is... Man, I am so... Grandfather and I ran out to welcome them. Welcome. I'm Takano. Thank you for coming today. May I take your jacket? I greeted them and filled the role we decided ahead of time. Though my being relaxed by my grandfather's silliness ended at that point, both my grandfather and I were stiff with anxiety as we greeted them now that the moment was here. Nice to meet you, Doctor. And hello, young lady. Are you his granddaughter? Yes. Mio. Oh, sorry. Please say hello. Very nice to meet you. I'm Mio Takano. What a good girl. I'm here in place of Koizumi-sensei. Something came up and he can't make it today. He's very sorry. I see. Oh, I keep reading that as the girl. Mostly because I see more girls named Hifumi than boys, at least nowadays, but yeah. The person who set up everything isn't here. My grandfather even had his treasured wine ready, just as I promised 2 weeks ago. Everyone, let me introduce you. This is Dr. Hifumi Takano. Dr. Takano was a leading member of the Research Center for the Prevention of Epidemics in Manchuria during the war. He made many advances in developing synthetic food and synthetic alcohol as measures against malnutrition and ration shortages. Nice to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for having me. I don't know, these are random people, so I can give them whatever accents I want. The men are even older than my grandfather. They take off their hats one at a time to greet him. Their beards, expensive-looking canes, and glasses tell me that they are very high up in its society. Is a beard a tell that you're high class? Grandfather bows to each one of them.
Everyone, please come to the study. Please excuse the mess. Maybe you should have cleaned up for rich people. Just saying. Come in, come in. Mio, serve tea for everyone.
Yes! I wasn't nervous at all earlier, but now I think I'm the most nervous one. I'm not the one making the presentation, and I'm not the one being evaluated, so it's ridiculous that I'm feeling so nervous. Don't know if I should use that as my excuse. But I was so nervous that I knocked over the thermos I had filled to the brim with hot water and ruined the black tea I'd chosen specifically for this day. Well, you should have chosen green tea, just saying. I apologized to my grandfather and started to boil water again. I just needed enough for the guests. By the time I had cups of tea and cookies ready, grandfather's presentation was a key part. Ugh. Blarg. It pierces the blood or lymph vessels and spreads to the spinal cord, and from there it travels along the cerebral spinal fluid to the brain. I've confirmed many cases of encephalitis after autopsies. I don't know what that is. What the Okay. I have no idea. You know what? We are not reading in Japanese right now, although I have a feeling that Japanese might actually be easier than this word. And you know what's funny? Is Japanese would be easier than this word because I would probably understand the kanji, and the kanji would probably be like, so what's fun about Japanese is like the kanji usually makes quite a lot of sense. Like bronchitis is like literally like flaming lung. Like that's the kanji for it. Like that's what the kanji means. So probably would make more sense in Japanese, but eosinophilic, meaning encephalitis, is known to be caused by roundworm, and we predict its behavior to be extremely similar. Grandfather said, walking between samples in formalin jars and pointing to several as he gave his explanation. There are over 100 formalin jars here with brain parts in them. They were all very dusty, so I spent a few days cleaning them. I'm rather proud to see the sparkly jars all lined up like they're already a psycho. However, roundworms induce an extremely wide range of symptoms. A headache, narcosis, derangement. None of those are characteristic symptoms of roundworms. On the other hand, symptoms of Hinamizawa syndrome are very specific to that disease. You're saying one of them is to claw one's own throat, right? You guys know what that head shake was. I'm not gonna say it. Exactly. Some soldiers witnessed it before their fellows died. Such self-mutilation was never seen before in any disease. It only occurs in Hinamizawa syndrome. Also, since that symptom was only seen with terminal stage patients, I believe that's a means of exodus, something we've seen before in several parasites. Huh? I don't know what exodus means in this context. Parasites mature inside of an organism, reproduce, then leave the host and look for the next one. So, what do you think about the fact that the cases were only seen in the soldiers from Hinamizawa, even though other soldiers touched their blood? Exactly! Exactly my point, bureaucrat number one! Which must have been full of parasitic eggs or larvae. Don't you think there was a possibility of them getting infected? Exactly, that doesn't make any fucking sense! Okay, I'm sorry, I'm angry, because it doesn't make sense and I don't understand science. I am a singer, dancer, I can understand a limited range of science, but, like, even Steins Gate does a fantastic job of like explaining to you the things, this, and then I don't even know what the fuck that word was. Okay, rant over. I suspected things like an incubation period, but since it was limited to people from the Hinamizawa region, I believe something such as the unique local climate must play a role. But they wouldn't make sense then as to why when people move away, it affects them. I'll talk about that in the next part, but the ancient indigenous beliefs of Hinamizawa have exactly. That can't be possible, Dr. Takano. I've never heard of parasites behaving socially. Yes, well, that is one of the revolutionary discoveries in the Hinamizawa syndrome. Also, there are probably multiple areas in the world that have that specific climate. And probably Japan as well. Also, climate shift and change during the winter, the summer, the spring, the fall. The elderly gentleman mumbled to each other while pointing at the data. With that, I finally realized things aren't going too well. Yeah, because it doesn't fucking make sense! Dr. Takano, I've been reviewing your data while listening to your gracious presentation. First of all, it's simply impossible for parasites to control human minds. Human thoughts are controlled by the brain, which is a work of art created by God. Even if you don't believe in God, which I have to, human thoughts are controlled by the brain. Furthermore, ideology is an extremely advanced aspect of human thought. It's an advanced capability bestowed only to humans on this planet. I think I see where he's going with this. Yeah, because like, the reason he said it was started was because of the people who lived in Hinamizawa way back before, when it was Onigafuchi swamp and stuff like that, believed in the curse, and that it was like born from that, right? That's what they're going for. Yeah, you would say parasites intervene in that? Yeah. Please, that's absurd. Thank you, bureaucrat with no name. I agree. Ideology can also be considered a manner of thought that prioritizes the whole over the individual. In other words, that's the most important prerequisite condition for a society. There's no way parasites would be gifted with that, when their only demand is to pass on their genes. In the field of biology, there has never once been a discovery of sociality or use sociality within parasites. I don't know what that second one is. But there are cases of parasites interfering with the host's behavior. You're misunderstanding one thing, Dr. Takano. The principle that drives parasites capable of controlling their host is always reproduction and propagation. It's only that primitive concept. I understand this bureaucrat better than just because he's making sense and why the disease doesn't make sense to me. Even in the example you used before, of a rat infected with Toxoplasma gondii losing its aversion to cats. The altered behavior is simply a means to let the host be eaten by a better host in order to change hosts. I'm trying very hard to wrap my brain around this, but I'm having a hard time. That's just like a grasshopper infected with a horsehair worm drowning itself. I don't know what that means. I don't understand what any of this fucking means. What's a horsehair worm? Whatever. Once a horsehair worm matures, it becomes aquatic. When that happens, it guides the grasshopper to the water and drowns it, then enters the environment it's adapted for. Okay. Exactly. The suicidal act of clawing out one's throat corresponds to that in the case of Hinamizawa syndrome. But where's the parasite going then? For example, guinea worms escape the body by having the host scratch the affected area. Indeed, the purpose of all these parasites is reproduction. For them to infest the brain, God's masterpiece. No. Infecting the brain itself isn't that strange. But to say they infest it and influence human ideology is frankly delusional. In fact, that's a dangerous idea. Yes, Mr. Björk. I don't think it's strange that Hinamizawa, an isolated culture, developed its own unique faith. But I mean, in Japan there's tons of shrines to tons of different gods, and there's local ones. It's not that rare of a thing, exactly. There are actually many... Yes! Bureaucrat man, you are on my side! There are actually many examples of that all over Japan. So are you saying all of them were due to parasites? Or that they were all due to cultural reasons, except the one in Hinamizawa, which was caused by parasites? How do you establish the distinction? Well, as I said, in my autopsies on the Hinamizawan soldiers who died in the war, there was sufficient evidence to believe... Excuse me, Dr. Takano. I don't think you've gathered enough case studies to call it clinical data. Furthermore, as you said, it was during the war. Exactly, my man! It was during the war, not in Hinamizawa. No, I mean, as I explained in the next part, Hinamizawa syndrome develops when one experiences suspicion, nervousness, and stress and becomes emotionally unbalanced. I think it's a unique approach to suspect some manner of commonality if there were several cases of unique and bizarre self-mutilation, such as clawing one's throat out. That's all the more reason it's unreliable. Maybe it was just a coincidence that such rare cases happened under abnormal circumstances like the war. Yes, environmental reasons. I believe you witnessed the convergence of coincidences and trapped in a what the fuck is that word? I don't know. You deluded yourself into finding a pattern. I need my sister to read these, but she's a chemist, not a biologist, so I don't even know if she would understand. Maybe. To prove otherwise, you would need an enormous amount of clinical data on Hinamizawa syndrome patients. But ethically, that's impossible to prove. See, this chapter is kind of boring as well, but at least this chapter is showing me where the killing everybody comes into play. The natives' act of recognizing it as a curse suggests it's more within the realm of culture-bound syndromes. And you think that there is a delusional, parasitic disease? Interesting. I hate to say this, but I think you admire the beliefs of the Hinamizawans a little too much, and as a result, you yourself have been taken in by their culture-bound reactive syndrome. Actually, that happens quite often with people who research more unusual fields of study. I like this guy, shutting him down. Shut him down, bureaucrat. We're trying to be careful ourselves. The more they talk, the paler my grandfather's face becomes. I was just stunned myself. We've never heard of parasites like that. That's impossible. it was just a coincidence and there wasn't enough data? The talk goes on, and every time my grandfather says something, they dismiss him like that. Before he knew it, my grandfather could only hold his silence before their criticisms. Well, no revolutionary discovery is accepted at first, and it's not even that revolutionary because it's like a tiny populace. Like, it's a one very tiny village in a giant world. Maybe this research of yours is one of those things. Even if it's ridiculed at first, it may achieve recognition in later years. That happens all the time. I'm just an amateur. I'm just a private researcher who didn't graduate from an elite college, nor do I belong to an academic clique. I don't have any connections with experts or research centers. That's why this is all I could do. Is the Hinamizawa syndrome real? Or is it just my delusion like you all say it is? To find out, I need your help. Of course, if this was the discovery of the century, it would create a major uproar. After all, you're suggesting that human culture and ideology is all the will of parasites, and our frontal lobe is a place for them to live. What an audacious theory! That would make a lot of people very angry. If a link between the existence of this Hinamizawa syndrome and the disease carrier's belief in Oyashiro-sama could be established, then it would be possible to explain all cultural divisions on Earth. Can you imagine your belief in something beyond death or something, up there? It's just a parasite? Like, as I said, I'm agnostic. Or I believe something is there, but I just not necessarily a specific culture, religion. If anything, I believe more in Buddhism, and I love I love the Japanese religions more because anyways, my point being is that can you imagine if it was just like a bug in your brain? It's horrible. That would be horrible. And that's coming from a person who is just kind of not how do you say 100% in it. What a magnificent and unique idea, Dr. Takano. Instead of showing people like us your essays in secret, you should publish a book about it for the general public. Maybe you should. Why not? That's actually a really good sound advice, even though I hate you because you brought up a baby devil. Grandfather looks at the ground, his fists trembling a little. But their words were far too cruel. I actually think that's quite a good idea. I mean, this is honestly solid advice. I don't know anything about academics. I'm just a little girl. I don't know exactly what they're talking about, but Grandfather works so hard by himself until today. But to prove his research and delve further into it, he needs sponsors. Yet those sponsors are casting him away, calling his research a delusion. It's outrageous. Like asking which came first, the chicken or the egg. Besides, if his If his research was at the level those cheeky men want to see, he wouldn't need their help. But they're saying that they can't help him unless they see results that are beyond the level of private research? Makes sense to me. In any field, doesn't research always start out with just a little idea?
If you can prove its existence beforehand, then what's the point of researching it to begin with? If a wild idea can't be the subject of research, how do we gain any knowledge at all? But never mind that. When Mr. Koizumi came 2 weeks ago, didn't he say they were really interested in his research? What's going on? This is the complete opposite of what he said. I love how I can still get emotional even though I hate her. Yes, I think this is very interesting. The human brain still holds many secrets. Dr. Takano's idea is an extremely unique one. It seems impossible to ignore, especially from a eugenics perspective. Humans are not God's children. We're simply animals who underwent the baptism of evolution. I like that phrase, the baptism of evolution. As such, according to Darwin, there will be differences in evolution based on environment. In other words, humans can be either superior or inferior. As a nation, we must think of how we can maintain good bloodlines and how we can leave good genes behind. If we do not raise that as a national policy and research towards it, then... I needed water. Then by the next century, mankind may fall to a fatal position on the hierarchy. Dr. Takano's research has the potential of encompassing more than just parasitic diseases. If the evil, inferior humans we shouldn't let breed can actually be explained by a disease instead of genetics. Huh? What the fuck? Then it becomes possible to correct their behavior through surgery. What? I do not understand this fucking chapter at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. As a result, we can leave wonderful people for a future. From the eugenic point of view, Dr. Takano's research should get started immediately. Okay, well, they mentioned lobotomy, so all these people are fucked up. It's possible this could be the greatest discovery since Moniz's invention of the lobotomy. If casualty between infectious diseases and an individual's nature could be established, this would be more than Nobel Prize worthy. Koizumi-sensei, thank you for giving us this chance. Takano-kun is a single-minded and passionate man, but he is not good at dealing with people. He's been working on his research all by himself. But now he's hit the limit of what one person can do and he needs help. Please, everyone, listen to what he has to say. Oh, you don't even need to ask, Sensei. We are the ones who should be thanking you for this opportunity. We're already willing to help him. In fact, the more urgent matter will be arranging jurisdictions within society. I would like to thank... Well, huh? Then why'd they turn him down? Even though I don't understand anything. I would like to thank you for giving me an opportunity to be involved in such a unique research project as this age. There was a knock on the door, the sliding door opened, and the owner peeked in. Excuse me? There's someone asking for you. May I bring him? Someone? Who could it be? The owner whispered into Koizumi's ear and his face turned pale all of a sudden. Please let him in. No, I'll come greet him with you. As Koizumi stood up, 2 pairs of footsteps reached the door. Sensei! I didn't expect you to be here. Koizumi-kun, long time no see. I have something I need to tell you today. Yes? If you need to tell me something, I'm all ears. Please, go ahead. The old man, known as Koizumi, was not someone whose status could be taken lightly. Although he had retired, he was still powerful enough to wield great influence as a fixer. So from his meek attitude, it was easy to figure out what kind of person this man must be. The old man held onto his bodyguard's shoulders as he walked. He had an expensive-looking cane in his other hand.
He couldn't even walk on his own because of his old age, but his intense, commanding presence hadn't declined one bit. I'll get straight to the point. Your friend's research. You need to put a stop to that. Oh. What do you mean? Koizumi-kun. He must take his knowledge of Hinamizawa syndrome to his grave. Nobody should touch it. If anyone looks into it, well, if you poke a bush, a snake will come out. A big, fat snake. It would pain me to watch you get swallowed by it. That's why I'm here to give you some advice. Can your friends wait a little? How about, do you want to have some drinks with me in the different room? Yes, I'll come with you straight away. Koizumi realized that he was being pressured. He didn't know which direction it was coming from, but clearly some authorities weren't comfortable. Well, yeah. The guys literally were talking about, like, genocide. Or, like, the perfect species or whatever the fuck. And we're trying to stop him from supporting it. If I'm understanding it right, which maybe I'm not, because even though this is in English, I understand Uto no Purin-sama much better, which is in Japanese at the current moment. Koizumi-kun, do you remember the Marco Polo Bridge incident? Didn't we talk about this in a previous chapter? This is utter nonsense. We came here today expecting to hear a more objective side. Normally we wouldn't come all this way here for something like this, but since Koizumi-sensei asked us, we didn't have a choice. This really was a waste of time, but in a way it was a good thing we came. We were able to give you some advice. You should take up bonsai instead of wasting the rest of your life on this. Bonsai is great. It is great. I agree. It's not healthy to stare at formalin jars in a study. But it is sure a unique subject. If you want, I'll introduce you to the chief of a publishing company. The general public loves things like this, you know? They aren't even trying to hide their hostility. They're laughing at my grandfather, denouncing him, and saying things to Wait, not only his research, but his personality as well. If they're simply trying to revoke him, any response would just be giving them what they want. Even in this very moment, grandfather tried to remain a noble researcher and a proud human being. He's no longer trembling. On the contrary, he apologized to them for taking up their time and told them he had no intention of keeping them any longer. We'll give this article back to you. Though it'd be much easier if we could actually call it an article. One of the elderly gentlemen tossed it back to him. Grandfather couldn't catch it in time. The article he worked so hard on fell onto the floor, and papers scattered all over the carpet. The elderly gentleman left the study without even apologizing. I don't fucking care. He deserves it. Everyone else followed suit. As they left, they trod all over my grandfather's article. Yes, bureaucrats. I think Takano might be my most hated villain ever. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Now I'm thinking of villains. I don't know, I can't think of a single one at this particular moment that I hate more than her. I think it has something to do with the whole Rika mutilation thing that increases my hate. And then also, that very last chapter in the last episode, oh my god, I can't get the images out of my head of the people of Hinamizawa being corralled. Like, I can't get it out of my head. Just like, oh god, you know? So I just hate. Step on his paper. but I could see it warping. I could see the wall of research grandfather bore crunching and warping. I jumped. I grabbed onto the elderly gentleman's leg. I don't hate him. If I were asked if I hated him or not, the answer would be yes, but that's not the point here. What I really can't stand is this footstepping all over my grandfather's article. Don't step on it! Don't step on it! Grandpa worked so hard on it! Don't step on it! Just wanted to move the foot that's standing on his papers. But the foot doesn't move, no matter how hard or push or pull, as if it's rooted to the floor. I felt someone grabbing me from behind. It's my grandfather. Please excuse my granddaughter. Don't worry about this. We'll clean it up. Don't! Don't step on them! I'm telling you not to step on my grandpa's article! My screams don't mean a thing to them. Good. They completely ignored my screams. They continued to step on the papers and left the study. Only my grandfather and I remain there now. See, I want to like actually scream, but there's like neighbors and I don't want to like ruin your guys' ears and stuff. So it's like I'm trying to like be emotional, but also like hold back. So it's funny. My grandfather is still grabbing the back of my collar. I don't have any words left to say, only cries. My grandfather is determined to not show any emotion. He doesn't even open his mouth. So I have to cry for him. Just then, my grandfather slapped me in the face. That startled me. I'm crying for him, so why did he slap me? Then I understand. Grandfather's the one who wants to cry. But he's enduring. So I shouldn't cry either. I wiped my eyes and my runny nose. Then I silently turned my eyes to the papers on the carpet, just like my grandfather. Sorry, Mio. I don't understand why he's apologizing. I thought he was going to complain about their rudeness. If I had worked harder, this wouldn't have happened. Until today, you helped me so much, and it was all for nothing. Sorry about that. How courageous he is. Even after that disaster, he's still concerned about me. I shook my head and put my hands on the floor. I tried to gather up the papers, but then they began to fall. My tears are overflowing again, blurring the ink on the papers. These are all handwritten by grandfather. He was so happy that finally there was someone who understood his research. He was so happy. He spent all night writing these. They stepped on them. They might as well have stepped on my grandfather's very soul. I didn't work hard enough. If I had done more, this wouldn't have happened. I'm so sorry. I'll work even harder. I won't give up because of something like this. Give up. Can we please get back to Chpt? Please. I want Chpt. Ah! Don't worry. God is watching. Oh, but I thought you said that God was just a parasite in your brain. If I understood that correctly, because I could have completely misunderstood every single bit of that. I have to believe that I'll gain recognition. That day will come. That's why I have to keep working harder. Grandfather says that all the time, but I know the truth. God only plays with people's fate. He doesn't save anyone out of goodwill. And that's why he let this happen to my grandfather, even though he's worked so hard and so humbly until today. That's why he let such a horrible thing happen to me when I was still an innocent little girl. Grandfather keeps repeating himself, but I know the truth. God exists. The existence that grandfather believes in is real. There's no mercy to be found in God. He delivers unreasonable fates and makes us call it a challenge. I can't tell my grandfather that, of course. I asked God once more, like I did on the day of the thunderstorm. Why? Why can't you give my grandfather's effort and hard work the recognition it deserves? Grandfather told me that he'll gather up the papers, so I should put away the teacups. I nodded silently and put the teacups that hadn't been even touched onto the serving cart. As I pushed it out of the study, Grandfather told me. He told me to close the door after I leave. I always close the door when I leave. He doesn't need to remind me. But that's what he wants. So without saying anything, I closed the door. Then, as I walked away from the study, I heard my grandfather sobbing. Tears filled my eyes once more. Sadness and disappointment. I almost feel angry with myself for not being able to do anything for him. Then, I felt a cool breeze on my wet cheeks. The breeze was blowing in from a cracked, open window. The curtain was flapping gently in the breeze. I heard the cry of the Higurashi. You know what? This novel has made me... So they're in the summer, especially in Japan, they're called cicadas. They come out and it's this exact sound. And this novel in particular makes it so creepy to me. I can't, like, it's so creepy. Yeah. As I listened to them, I calmed down gradually. If I can ease grandfather's pain by crying, I'll cry in his place. But that won't help. On the contrary, he started to cry because I did. I'm being useless here. I remember that day. I remember the reason why I'm alive now. If he hadn't come and saved me, I would have spent the last days of my life lying in the corner of a bathroom as a human-shaped piece of meat. Grandfather saved me. Gave me back my rights. The right to walk. The right to stand up. The right to wear clothes. The right to eat. The right to speak. And the right to think. In other words, the right to live as a human being. Grandfather took action right after he got the phone call from me. He found my house, and he found out which orphanage I was sent to after struggling through a sloppily filed records of the public office. And he saved me. Of course he was working on his research then. He spent his precious research time on saving me, a perfect stranger. I vowed that if his heart failed, I'd rip mine out and give it to him. But of course his heart is fine. So he doesn't need a heart. He needs something else that's equally important. That's something only I can give him in this whole world. I clenched my fists and held them so tightly that my nails left marks. I know now what I'm supposed to do with this new life as Mio Takano. I finally know. I know why the new me was born. I know the purpose of Mio Takano. To fulfill a wish and weave a desired future. Of murdering lots of people. The strength of a string is how strong your will is. You know what? If this was not coming from a murderous bitch, I would actually love this quote. A normal and strong wish will come true. Can we please be done with fucking Takano? I thought I knew of my grandfather's greatness, but I actually didn't know how half of it. For me to really be able to help him, I have to reach his level. All my lessons led back to my grandfather. There wasn't a single subject I could ignore. Right now, studying hard is what I can do for him. I've been a teacher for a long time, but I've never seen such a hardworking student. You've learned not only academically, but socially as well. You've made a great deal of friends. I have a goal of which I can only reach by studying hard. Also, I know how powerless an isolated genius is. That's why I need to learn how to socialize. That's not enough. I'm not even close to where I want to be. Entering college is only a step forward. What matters was what I learned there. I'm not even close. I'm not even close to being able to help him. I'm so proud of you. You can go to Tokyo or Ochanomizu University or any college of your choice. Nothing will stop you. The most important thing for you is that the school will teach you what you want to learn. A big decision that inhabits a tiny soul. In my life, if my life is heavier than the earth, then my decision is heavier than the earth. Do I have what I need to be able to truly understand Hinamizawa syndrome and help grandfather? I don't need compromises or excuses. The heights I seek are lofty and precipitous. This isn't enough. Not even close. My classmates are such idiots, acting as if they're winners in life just because they entered this school. A college is simply a place to learn what I need to know. If this self-proclaimed best school isn't worth my time, I'm not interested. I didn't expect a talented woman like you to end up at the Parasite Research Center. I'm sure everyone wanted you, huh? I assumed you were interested in something bigger. I want to study and research parasites. I've worked hard to earn the right to study here. Aren't I qualified to learn? Yes, of course. There's no reason why we would refuse someone who got the top score on the entrance exam. Welcome to the Parasite Research Center. People usually aren't that interested in our field. There aren't too many researchers who study it. That's why there's still a lot of unknown elements compared to other fields. That's quite true. The study of parasites is a mysterious world, or rather, it's an ignorant one. An ignorant world where the preconception that parasites can't possibly control humans pervades. And those ignorant people laughed at grandfather and stepped all over his article. There are still many unresolved mysteries in the world of parasites. I'm here to solve them. I came here to help the people who want to solve them. A wish that's guaranteed to come true is not called a wish. That is fate, not a wish. I really love these quotes, but it's coming from bitch. I weave fate. Fate is an absolute power to control people and the world, not just an individual. I like this music though. It's hyping me up for... Learning isn't enough for me. I have to be able to research with my grandfather, and so I don't ignore the means to gain the help my grandfather couldn't get. Grandfather's research isn't complete just when it's finished being written on a desk. I need the help of plenty of people to present it to the world, so his great work will be praised by many. Yes, that's correct. This is an association with the top graduates of the Imperial University. Therefore, as only 7 people per year are allowed to join, it's a small group compared to the normal organization of alumni. However, its solidarity is unrivaled. Thank you for inviting me to such a gathering. I'm honored. I would like to take the lowest seat. Oh no, we can't let someone with such accomplishments and experience sit in the lowest seat. I'm sure everyone will welcome you. The cabinet minister and several important government officials, companies, presidents, and company advisors will be here. They'll all need you, and they'll provide the help you need. Koizumi-sensei belongs to this association, right? He was my grandfather's best friend. What a coincidence. I see. I'm sure Koizumi-sensei will be glad to find out that you're joining. An isolated genius is a useless one. People live in society. Society is made up connections between people. Nobody can ignore that. I do my best as an individual. But to gain the power that can be achieved as a mere individual, I have to rely on my connections in society. It's all for one purpose. My only wish as Mio Takano. Yes, I can't spare any effort. My certain conviction will forge a certain future. Nobody can interfere. Nobody can stop me. Oh, I love how she's using Rika's line. I won't allow the die to roll a 1. I won't admit that diligent efforts can be erased by a mere train accident. I'm going to make all the dice roll 6s. I won't entrust the die to God. I won't give in to luck. It's funny that Mio's gonna be defeated basically by God. The only people who pray to God are people who don't want to work hard. That's a bullshit, and you know it. I don't trust God. I'm going to create results myself. My strong will is going to create a certain future that God can't possibly prevent. This is a different way to become a god than the one grandfather taught me. This is a way to become a god while still alive. When I realized it, I became truly free. Free from the sadness of losing my parents and my miserable life after that. Free from grandfather's tears when his article was stepped on. That's right. I'll be above God. I'll be an existence that God's caprices can't even touch. I'll make people recognize grandfather's research. That's the future I wish for. The future I promise will come to pass. People will fight over grandfather's article. People will respectfully read the same article that was once ridiculed and stepped on. Even if grandfather dies before that day comes, I won't cry over something like that because he already taught me. Even after being buried, one can be resurrected. I'm going to complete his great work and the whole world will praise him. Grandfather will resurrect and become a god. Will be eternal. That's an everlasting bond. Bond that not even a train accident could break. Did her grandfather die by a train accident? Is that why she's saying train accident? A bond not even a die that rolls a 1 can disturb. Oh, Rika, come. Do all the things to Mio. Since, oh, I guess maybe he did die from a train accident. Since the day of the train accident, my die has kept rolling 1s over and over. But I didn't give up. I kept working hard until today. I'll rise above the die. I'll decide what to roll on it. I'll decide my own fate. You know, actually, in a way, I don't like that she's using Rika's. Although, to be fair, Rika used it in a very sad moment, so I'll do that with my unshakable willpower. Oh, that was the last line. No, was it? Yes, it was? When does the clinic open? Is there going to be air conditioning? I heard it will open next month. I hope there will be a young doctor there. I heard some old ladies talking amongst themselves when I was going up the stairs to the shrine. The EDA clinic is already completed, and it's waiting and ready for opening day. The state-of-art equipment has been delivered, and the research is waiting to begin as well. EDA, too, is standing by in top form. He's almost as passionate as I am about the Hinamizawa syndrome. The Mountain Dogs, the counterintelligence unit to support and protect our research, are already stationed at a dummy company somewhere near Okinomiya. They are getting in touch with various public institutions. Everything. I want to do this. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. Everything's going so well. What? The only thing to worry about would be the rumors about the Hinamizawa Dam construction plans. Oh, I find that fascinating that if the Hinamizawas didn't fight the dam thing, then they all would be alive. There's a rumor that the Ministry of Construction is pushing through a dam project that will submerge all of Hinamizawa, but they're under pressure from several groups. None of my contacts have much influence in the Ministry of Construction. Things aren't going well. Even if applying pressure doesn't work, there are other measures. So either way, it'll come to a deadlock. I'm not being optimistic. I just know that's how it'll end. I will conduct research here in Hinamizawa. I'm going to accomplish that with my absolute will. That's why I gotta do the knuckle crack. Yeah, there we go. Even if God rolls a 1 on the die and says that he's going to submerge Hinamizawa, I will not be afraid. I won't entrust my die to God. Okay, I get it. How many times are you gonna say the fucking same thing? Sorry. Are you sure about that? I didn't come to this shrine to declare war on the god of this place. I came because I know that you can get a great view from up here. Meet Rika! Meet Rika! Rika! Slap her down! Oh wait, I don't even know when she's here. No, if it's around the dam construction, Rika would be here. I walked behind the shrine and headed to the spot I found last time I visited. Oh, Rika wouldn't know though. It's the perfect spot for overlooking the entire village. But Hanyu would. Maybe. Actually, I don't know what Hanyu knows. If she knew what happened in the last world, then I think... Because if she knew what happened, right? Because Rika never knew that it was Takano because she forgets what happened right when she dies, right? So I don't know if Hanyu knows. Anyways, the strong wind reminds me that I'm only at the starting line, and that there will be a headwind before I reach my goal. I looked over the village with faltering in the wind. Grandfather approached this syndrome from a medical point of view, but he also approached it from a folkloric one as well. The strange belief system in this village is proof that the existence of Hinamizawa syndrome was already known of in ancient times. So it'll be extremely useful to research their history too. My grandfather hadn't been doing research for hundreds of years, of course, But this place has been here for hundreds of years, and they've been living with Hinamizawa syndrome for that long. Therefore, the beliefs created in this place and the legend itself can be considered the foremost researchers. It's simply stupid to just call them old folktales or nonsense. I've been researching them slowly, but they are indeed very interesting. No wonder Grandfather was intrigued by them. Hinamizawa syndrome has many fascinating sides to it. God, this chapter just keeps going. Like, I think it's gonna be done and it just keeps going. It's just like a kaleidoscope, showing infinite light with the ever slight change in angle. It's so much fun to trace Grandfather's research. Finding the same results as my grandfather reminds me that I am indeed following in his footsteps, which makes me very happy. This shrine is dedicated to Oyashiro-sama, the guardian deity of this village. But this god that villagers worship is simply a delusion that was created by the parasites. When I solve their secret and announce it to the world, the god of this place will be no more. That's the moment I will take revenge on the one who put me through misery and tested my fate. That's it, isn't it? This isn't just about making my grandfather's dreams come true. It's also about getting revenge for my miserable life. I went back to the front of the shrine. There's an offertory box there, and I'm tempted to throw in some coins. But you normally offer coins to ask for mercy. No, you usually say thanks, but okay. I don't entrust my fate to God, so I don't need to give an offering. I'm going to unmask him. But until then, Oyashiro-sama is a god. Okay, in that case, show respect for now. I knew she was gonna laugh. What a bitch. You don't, but you were supposed to. Oh. As a declaration of war, I pulled out a 10-yen coin from my wallet. The 10-yen coin I found in the telephone booth that changed my life. Oh! You're even bigger, bitch! If it hadn't been there, my life would have ended, and everyone would be happy. God. I'm grateful, at least, for that 10-yen coin. I'm not grateful to the god of the shrine, though. But I haven't forgiven you yet. I never expected anything from you, and I'm here because of my own hard work. Even if you keep playing tricks of fate or keep rolling a 1 on the die, that won't bother me. With my certain will, I am going to get what I want. My grandfather will be praised and become a god because of the research I'll do in this place. I will defeat the god of this and become an existence above even gods. Since when did I care about God? Maybe because my grandfather often talked about him? Here. This is the 10-yen coin you gave me before. My debt's paid off now. You just keep clinging to your throne and tormenting people with your trials, while I fight my battles to knock you down from there. And so, I chucked the 10-yen coin I once borrowed from God into the offertory box. Huh? Oh, for a moment I couldn't understand what happened. The 10-yen coin was supposed to fall into the offering box. Oh, did you reject it? But how can I explain this? That's not what happened. Get it, bitch! Get it! I aimed correctly for certain. Who could miss an offertory box? Anyways, yeah, it'd be pretty hard to miss, not gonna lie. It's
pretty big. You'd have to be like standing at the side and like chuck it, like po. That's not it. Because the 10 yen coin stopped in midair. Suck it, bitch! I'm sorry. My happiness out of her displeasure is amazing. As if it got stuck in a spider web. Rika and Hanyu are saying, we don't want your 10 yen coin, you fucking murderous bitch. Get out of here. You're going down, down, down. And it bounced back to me and fell by my feet. It was as though the offertory box had refused the coin. I'm like smiling so much at her misery. Not misery, but I'm smiling so much at this. Because I'm just so happy that she's getting slapped down. And I can't even do the voice properly. Of course. An offertory box is to respect God. But what I did was challenge him. That means this is... I jumped. Because I thought I was the only one here. Rika! Rika! Get it, go! Get him, my Rika! Anyone would jump when finding there's someone else standing there unexpectedly. Be Rika in... Oh! It's Hanyu! How long has she been there? It's like she came out from the shrine. A mysterious girl is standing on the other side of the offering box. Wait. So then Hanyu should know. No? If this happened, then wouldn't Hanyu know? Or maybe, like, Rika needs to discover it on her own. Get it? So she must be one of the caretakers here. That's what I thought too, but there's something else about her. She's not just one of the shrine caretakers, she's the shrine itself. Because the girl is staring into my eyes. No, she's glaring. Hanyu's so cute, so that glare right there is quite terrifying. I smiled back fearlessly. I think she heard my words of challenge to God. She's wearing that expression on her face because of that. This is when Hanyu went into Rika, I bet you. The words came out naturally. You are the god of this place, aren't you? The girl didn't nod. I took that as a yes. What a contradictory feeling. I'm rejecting the god of this land, denying its very existence. Yet I don't doubt this girl is that god. The girl opened her mouth to speak. A strong will reinforces fate. I gave her such a cute voice, I can't take it back now. That's right. That's what I say to myself often. I've never said that to anyone or quoted it from anything. So under normal circumstances, I should be surprised to hear this girl say that. But this girl isn't human, so I'm not surprised. I replied to her. God throws the die of fate and has fun with people depending on what he gets. But people have willpower. The stronger the willpower, the less chance of being bound by the result of the die. You see? People can gain a power that's strong enough to fight fate by working to their limits. Yes, I understand that very well. An unshakable conviction defeats the die of fate. That's right. This is mankind's revenge against the gods who toy with them by dice rolls. The hymn of those who would slough the gods' interference and forge their own destiny. Know my divinity in that I earned this day through effort after enduring all misfortune.
spiteful laughter flowed out of my mouth. But the girl's face displayed a strong will of her own. Her expression didn't change a bit.
Oh.
How do I do the... There we go. I understand very well. No matter how many times we repeat, our fate doesn't change. That... That was all because of your strong willpower. That's right. A strong will reinforces fate. That fate, so empowered, isn't bothered by the results of a die. That means it's a certain future. You, a human, found that truth before us gods who have been living for hundreds of years. I admit it. Your existence is close to that of a god. I'm honored. The girl glared at me with her eyes half shut. No, it was more like she was proclaiming something to me while displaying her own strong willpower.
Ooh.
Wait, is she like coming back from after we last died? I won't be defeated this time. We always thought we couldn't win against you. That was why I surrendered. Do you remember at the last chapter? How they said, like, if everybody pulled together, then they could do it? But Hanyu hadn't come in yet. This is that moment. That's why I surrendered. I abandoned hope and crawled around in the wheel of life. But then I learned the power of a belief can cause a miracle that forges your destiny. Are you saying you'll cause a miracle using your strong will that will defeat the destiny woven by mine? Well, that's logical enough. Because that's the law of this world. A strong will can make a desired future possible. We won't be defeated by your will! That's fine. So you insist on being an old god. Try it and see if your willpower can defeat mine. God tests people, yet people aren't allowed to test God. So I'm going to test you here.
Ooh.
See if your willpower can defeat mine. Come on. Go ahead and try it. That's clearly a declaration of war from me to a god. This is the beginning of my revenge towards God, who put me through so much misery. I mean, technically, the god that put you through so much misery is probably not the Hinamizawa god. Just saying. And this girl, this god, is accepting my challenge directly. Oh! I'm not as powerful as you are. I can't do many things as you can. Even if my willpower is as strong as yours, you're still more powerful than I am. That's right. I've gained an overwhelming power. You have absolutely no idea what I had to go through to gain it. You can't even touch me. I know. I know how powerful you are. Compared to yours, the power my friends and I command is insignificant. But I can choose not to give up. I won't admit my loss. I won't give up until the day your die rolls 1 and my die rolls 6. I'll prove that the strength of my willpower by not surrendering to you for eternity. Stacking up stones
on then. We'll see who has the stronger will. Whoever has the stronger conviction will create the future. I will hold my ground. In my future, my grandfather's great work is praised, and he becomes a god, and I take revenge on God for testing me by making me go through such a misery. Stupid little god. I'll show you. Whoa! I'll drag you down from your pedestal. Bring it on. Be done with Takano, for the love of God, be done. Please be done with Takano. I don't care about her anymore. Give me Keiichi, give me Mika, give me... Please. What is happening? What's happening? What is happening? What is happening? Oh. I loved that opening. There was some people in there I had no idea who they were. Like, who is that girl with the little ponytail? Who is that? And also, there was another one. The one with the short hair that kind of looked like Keiichi, but like girl form. Who is that? I think I saw Aksa in there, which made me happy. And who was Shinon and her mom and the cop guy were standing in front of the grave. Maybe that's Satoshi? We didn't see Satoshi in that, I don't think. I don't know. No, I would have recognized. He has the blonde hair with the... I loved the fighting Hanyu, though. Ooh! They're giving me chills. Eee! That was really good. Okay, I'm gonna save and we're gonna end this. Okay, oh, thank God that's over. Oh, God.
I just like the last end of that chapter was phenomenal, like really good. Well, mostly just the declaration of war part. And like, but the thing is that I didn't really need that because I mean, I already pretty much understood Takao. Why do I keep calling it Takao? Takano's motivations, even without that backstory of hers. Like, it, for me, I was just like, oh, no. Like, I didn't need that. Like, if I didn't read that entire section, except for the last part with Hanyu, like, I mean, because in the last chapter, we already got her desire to become, we already got, like, a lot of that from the last chapter. We got that her grandfather died. She wanted to fulfill his wish. I mean, we basically got all of that. Like, we didn't get the exact hows, but, like, that, to me, was just not something that I felt was that necessary. But at least there's only, what was it saying of chapter 4? That was 4 chapters. God, that felt like it took forever. But at least finally we'll be able to get back to Keiichi and the others, hopefully. Oh, again. But yeah, I didn't feel like I needed that because at least to me, I felt like I already knew all of that, but it was just like reiterating it and then like reiterating it. Like, we already knew her motivations. We didn't need to see her going through college and whatever. I mean, like, we pretty much got that already. So, in my personal opinion, and the worst part is that it came at the beginning of this chapter, which I've been wanting to get to Keiichi and them for so long. So it just like made it a little bit of a slog. So if you guys made it to this point, if you didn't make it to this point, you won't hear it. But I'll say this again at the beginning of the next chapter. But if you didn't watch, I think I'm gonna make a clip actually, or like a little bit of just the declaration part where she meets Hanyu, and then yeah. But anyways, we're gonna stop that there. This is like 2 hours. Oh boy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I complain a lot. I am not gonna apologize for that because well, one, for some reason you guys seem to love my ranting, which I find hilarious, so I'm gonna keep doing it. I will apologize for my sweary mouth though, but I get sweary, especially in horror games. I get emotional. Okay. I do have to admit that acting out Takano is fun, but it's funny because at the same time you're like, God, I hate your fucking guts. I will destroy everybody. But it's fun acting like a villain. But I just hate her so much more than, yeah. All right, we're gonna stop rambling. I love you guys. Mwah. I hope you enjoyed if you got through this.